Let's discuss the changes to the Joe Henderson classic Recorda. This is a really great tune to play. It's actually a really nice study in minor to major, and of course that's going to happen. Also, just shifting minor chords, just parallel minor chords, learning how to play using your Dorian scales, and to playing parallel minor motions. This tune is something that will get called on lots of gigs. It's one of the tunes that's, I would say, maybe one of the earlier sort of straight ahead jazz tunes that many people learn. It has a Latin feel to it, and so it's really fun to play, and it's got a nice sort of cycle that happens in it. It has like a chord cycle, a cycle that takes us through the changes. So let me show you the tune. So we have 4 measures of A minor. So it's and then it goes to C minor, and then it starts to cycle. It's a B flat major, then to A flat major, 2, 5 to G flat major, then G, C, and then it ends on this E7 altered. So it's like that. And that's the whole tune, believe it or not. But it does this cycle through all these changes. So it's just 2, 5, 1. So it's like 2, 5 to B flat, 2, 5 to A flat, 2, 5 to G flat, and then it comes up a half step to G minor, G, C, and then it goes F major, F, and then I actually like to hit this open E, and then so it's like that, and so that's essentially the whole tune. So it's A minor for 4 measures, then C minor for 4 measures, and then we start the cycle. And if you notice, I did not make any of the chords altered. You can do it in your soloing, but really, I mean, these 5 chords are just natural tension. So we don't have to really think about them differently than we do the 2 chords. So if the 5 chord is natural tension, our rule is we play Dorian up a 5th or down a 4th. So if we're playing like this F9, we're still going to play C minor 7, C Dorian. So for the C Dorian, C minor 7, and the F9, we're going to still play C Dorian. Then we have to get to B flat major. Okay, we have to make that. So we have to make that major, but then that quickly becomes a minor in a 2/5, and it cycles down. And then we have the G, C, F, and that's the whole tune. And people will take long solos on this. This tends to be one that a lot of guys stretch on. Joe Henderson's Recorda. Now I'm gonna do 2 videos for you guys, 2 performance tracks. One is going to be how we handle the comping on this, and I'll, of course, after that I'll do a discussion on sort of showing you some of the tricks that I like to use to comp over this tune. And then the second video is going to be a solo track, in which we're going to just talk about a few solo highlights, talk about some tools that I like to use to make the changes sound great, and so forth and so on. So, and then of course we'll have a discussion about that as well, so I can share some of my secrets with you and help you to have some great success playing over this classic tune, Recorda. Let's talk about the comping for this tune. So now what we're going to do is we can start to bring in some modal things because, this tune is, it hangs on one chord for quite a long time. So I'll start off, and now remember, this is a Latin feel. So then I move it up to C minor. And we're going to go through our cycle. Okay, what we're going to do this time, and I actually played this the second time through, is I went into more of a modal thing. So I did this. I started off with this A minor, and I went. So I used the modal approach to that. So I started off in that A minor, and I'm working from like the fourth form and working up. So this is like this would be sort of the parental form of this A minor. If we add this sixth here, then we get sort of a nice modal voicing, and then it moves up like there. So I went. Now, moving into the C minor, I just had to do this. And then into the cycle. And that E7 sharp 9. It specifically needs to be a sharp 9. You don't want to make it like a flat 9 or some other chord. It needs to be that sharp 9 is very important in there. It's actually part of the tune itself. So make sure that's in there when you're comping this. So it's going to be okay. Now, as we start to cycle, I get away from the modal stuff a little bit, just because I want to, I just want to keep it. The changes are moving a little quicker at that point. 2, 3, 4, and we go right into the minor. We could, we can do a little bit of modal stuff, but we don't have much time, All right, and so that's essentially how I comp the tune, just like that. I put a few melodies in. I can take, this chord A minor, just put some other. I'm just adding melodies to it, right? I'm just keeping the same parental chord, and I could jump into this one, just some different chords, but for the most part, I want to stay to sort of a parental form there. Another modal voicing. So just adding a melody note. So I'm just giving you those two top notes. But notice I'm separating them too. That's another thing I wanted to talk about, is how to separate the chord. Okay, so I never just usually play the whole chord like in one chunk. Like, that's why I don't like to play it with a pick when I'm comping. Because if I play with a pick, it's a little harder to separate the notes. But with my fingers, I can separate. So I can. See, just with your fingers, it's just a nice, I think it's a much nicer textural thing, and I can separate the bass, the chord, and the melody. So those are the three parts that we want to separate the chords. I mean, you don't have to do all three, but if I'm going to comp, I might start off with, I have this. I might go. So I went bass, chord, and then melody. Or I can go melody, bass, chord. I skipped the bass that time. I just went melody, chord. Now I hit the chord and the bass together, and then separated them again. So there's just different ways to play with how you're breaking up the chord in your comping. So definitely something to work on. And you can think of it almost like a composer in a way, because comping is kind of like you're an arranger. So an arranger usually thinks, what is the bass doing? What is the melody doing? And the melody is not the melody of the tune per se. It's the melody. It could be the melody of the tune, but in this case, it's going to be like my own melody that I'm creating through the comping. So yeah, and I do this quite a bit when I'm comping for a tune, and when I comp for this tune, I like to definitely separate those parts out. It'll give you a much more what we call polyphonic sound. So yeah, definitely check out some of these techniques and add them to your playing.